What's going on, guys? Here we go, episode number 3 for the Power Query tutorial today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do same deal, launch Power Query Editor, and I'm going to work through a different data set today. So I'm going to go new source, okay, and I am going to go an Excel workbook. All right, so now we've got this here. I'm going to do the car price data set next. This is sort of like a car sales based on, we've got sort of like year, what type of car it was, odometer-based readings, sale price. So I'm going to bring this up here on Power Query. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a quick look. Okay, yep. So what can we do here on Power Query? So, um, most of this is already pretty clean, a lot of this data. So what I'm going to do today is just a few different things. So I go, okay, well, what can I make another variable or another column or metric out of? So the first thing that brings my attention here is I see the selling price. Okay. So I go, okay, well, with this selling price, I think that I can make a metric that will give a reading of price per mile here. So I've got the selling price and I've got the odometer reading. Okay, presumably that's in miles. I don't know where this data set's from, but depending on what country it's from, it could be in kilometers or it could be in miles. So first thing I'm going to do here is I've got odometer and I've got selling price. But what I really need to do is I need to go to over to custom column. Okay. So I've got my custom column here, and I know that what I need to do here is I need to divide the car's sale price by its odometer reading. So I've got to come down here to selling price, and I'm just going to put in here a dash for divide, and I'm going to put the odometer reading here. Okay. And what this is going to be, column name here, it's going to be price per mile. All right. I'm going to say okay. Right, so now we have a price per mile figure here column. So this gives us a little bit more information as to when we're determining what car is most profitable um, in terms of its price per mile, or not even most profitable, but if we're looking at buying a car, what is the what sort of uh, how much does it sort of cost for each mile to run? How economic is the car? If we're using the car for big long drives and we do a lot of Ks in the year, then and we do a lot of traveling by the car, then you probably want something a little bit more economical. And this sort of just allows you to sort of do that from this particular data set. Okay. Another popular one, we've sort of touched on how to split a column into two different columns in other data sets. So, if we look up here, we've got a Kia Sorento, for example, and then LX SUV. So, um, if we're looking down at sort of the different makes of these different cars here and the different models, big thing that I would sort of say is you would go, okay, well, probably want to get something here because these first three variables here is what type of car it is. So if somebody goes, what car are you driving? This would be what would tell you what sort of car you're driving. People who know cars really well, they don't need to know the body. They just would model and sort of the trim here would be sort of enough. But make and model is sort of enough for a lot of people. So what I would do with this is I would go in here and go, okay, what's the make and what's the model? And I would go group by, make and model. Um, and what I would do here is actually, no, I wouldn't go group by. I would go to, we need to merge the two columns together. We would go merge columns here in transform. Okay, so I've got the two columns there. The separator I want, do I want a tab? Do I want a space? Do I want a semicolon or a comma? Comma might be okay. A space. In this case, I'll just do a space for the sake of it. We're going to call this what car do you drive? Okay, so that's a bit more information. Okay, so you go Kia Sorento, BMW 3 Series, and so forth. If we're looking at sort of, let's just go with where really want to know, um, if there's any errors in the data set. So I'm looking through here. There's not really too many errors that I can sort of really show you how this works, but um, basically what you can do is you can uh, go in to sort of home and do a replace values instead of a control H or a find and replace in Excel. You can use replace values up here. So what I could do here, for example, if there was an error, um, let's just say, for example, I'm just going to have a go here. And let's just say there's one that's got BMW in lowercase and I want to replace it with BMW with uppercase. I would go, okay, right? And it's updated all that for me now. Okay, so um, that's just kind of like an example there of what I can sort of do there in Power Query, just a few little bits and pieces on how to sort of connect things together. Um, if we want to know sort of more information here around the seller, we can do that. We can extract different parts out of that, as shown in the last video. Sales date over here. Once again, we can sort of do a split column here. We can split column by delimiter, or we can do it by the number of characters here. So, if there's what's that, 368 um, 12 characters there. So I could maybe go like by 12. Okay. And let's go, okay. All right. Well, that sort of didn't quite work out too well. So because some of that was two, so I need to do that by 11 there. So that's okay. If I mess it up, you just come back and hit close here in Power Query Editor and you can have another go again. So sales date here, I'm going to go again, split column, number of characters. So it has to be 11 here. Okay. So now I now have what date it was bought on. So I can change this to date purchased. So I have some data here now of the exact date that it was purchased based on sort of the initial sales date. If I need to know Tuesday, December 23, okay, I can change that around again and edit that by delimiter. If I want to sort of do kind of like a concatenate and just do, say, for example, by month. So that's another handy tool there that I can potentially use in this data set. Okay, so that's sort of a bit more cleaned up now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go close and load. So we're going to bring it across here into Excel. Quite a big data set here. For, so this is a lot more applicable, I guess, when you're using this much data. Uh, Typically, with this much data, once you start having, 500,000 rows, typically Excel isn't very efficient. You're better off with a server, in my opinion, like a SQL server or using a Google Cloud platform and going from there. As you can see here, it's a lot of rows down there. But some people like to still use Excel. But that's how you would clean that up, okay? Using Power Query, and if you were using other data sets with other sales, you could go up and do schemas and in sort of, I'll go into Power Pivot here just to sort of give you a little bit of an example. So if I said I want to add this to model, for example, I bring up this, might take a little while because this is a bit too big, the version that I've got here, but basically it will come up here and then you can connect that data set to another data set there. Okay, so I'll just give that a few more seconds. Yep, beautiful. That has come through now. So I can go to diagram view now. Okay, and we can see our table. So let's just say I had the same data set there. Over here, I could, start do a one-to-many or a many-to-many relationship, and I could then go into a pivot table from there. Um, so if I go pivot table here, a new worksheet, I've only got one here, but if I had another data set, I would just put it there and I would connect the two. And instead of doing a single based pivot table, I would do multiple and connect together. Okay, so that's sort of like how you can get a bit of a extract a raw data set, connect with a schema, and build a pivot table and an analysis. Hopefully that helps some people there with that work there today. And if you like these videos, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, guys. It's much appreciated. Cheers.